Hey friends, and a pleasant good evening. Welcome to Lions Live here, the only network put by the players. For you, the fans, Big Dude Stephen Davis. My name's Skip Drobelbis, bringing the best of Penn State, past, present, talking about the future here. Great football for the Nittany Lions. Cold night here, awaiting the storm approaching State College on a Thanksgiving Day weekend. Please be safe out there in your travels. Stephen Davis, Greg's off tonight, and we're here to talk some Penn State football. So thanks for joining us. This is not a podcast. This is not pre-recorded. You're listening to us live here. A modified show here tonight. We're going to try to break in, touch on a few key points, give our picks, and move on out here. Enjoy the weekend with Penn State's final home game here with the Michigan State Spartans. So, Stephen, glad you could join us here, and thanks for talking here with me tonight here. We got to give a little bit of a recap, so we'll try to run through some of this here real quick. I know we talked over the weekend, and man, where do we go? It was a rough week last year with Penn State.
You're sitting and you look at what's on the line. You know, you've gotten all eligible. You're trying to get better. You've gotten people that are back better. You know, you just thought that things would go that they would be able to finish the game. I mean, they just were not able to finish the ball game, and that was very disappointing. I mean, and it was confidence throughout the game. They overcame mistakes, and gosh, they just didn't get it done. I mean, when it comes down to 4th and 1, and you're at your own 39 and a half, the question is, should you go ahead and go for it? But is your offensive line not strong enough to get that 1 yard, or do you count on your nationally ranked defense to stop them? So we didn't go for it, and our nationally ranked defense let them go to the length of the field. It was just very frustrating.
Yeah, it's a difficult game. You know, I kind of sense, you know, Penn State hasn't traveled well for a while, and I was hoping it'd be the other way, but man, this really hurt. And you know, after a game like this, you know, what do you have to do? You got to kind of go back and start at square one again, reevaluate, take a look at what happened, what went wrong. And you know, we talked a little bit about Christian Hackenberg playing quarterback and what we're noticing. And you know, there's even rumblings I was checking out on the internet today that there's even people out there talking about a question: do you think Christian Hackenberg would transfer from Penn State? Now, of course, his dad's not you know, saying he loves Penn State. So, but you know, these thoughts and things cross people's minds because you know, it's just been that type of a season here this year.
Yeah, well, I don't know about him transferring. I mean, people say things, they like to read about things. This is a kid that is growing up. I mean, he's a great player. You know, he's a 19-year-old who's really 19. And I think pretty much that's what it comes down to.
You're right. You're right. And he's been challenged in ways that most 19-year-olds never would ever think of being challenged. You know, coming into a program at Penn State under Coach O'Brien, all of a sudden changing a system, all new staff, all new people again, starting over again with another type of offense. You know, you can't really come down too hard on the kid here because he still is a kid and he's still learning and growing and adapting. And I think the coaches are doing the same. You know, people I think oftentimes expect way too much, way too soon with people, and they're real easy to want to just, you know, kick something to the side and try to get to something new without you know, giving a person a true opportunity to pull through some difficult times.
Right, and I agree. I mean, it's just about growth now. I mean, it had some difficult games. They've won some games, as you said, in the very, very early one. They were fortunate to win. But the fact that they were fortunate to win means that they can find a way to win. So we have that characteristic in these guys that are coming back, a good number. I think the Big Ten Network talked about Penn State has only 46 scholarship players being recruited. And I think as time goes on, we'll be able to put the pieces of the puzzle together much more firmly. But for what we have now, and just like we had a guy that was recruited, I can't remember who our third running back was, but it ended up that we stole him. I mean, they still almost won the thing with Belton going down. Akita Lynch had the fumbleitis and recovered from the fumbleitis and was looking pretty good. And the whole line actually didn't play that bad.
Right.
So,
and, the defense played
still good.
Yeah, the defense, they did what they're supposed to do. I mean, they're not giving up a lot of points, and they're playing tough. It's been one of those years now. Of course, heading into this week here with Michigan State, who they absolutely destroyed Rutgers 45-3. It's going to be an uphill climb, but Penn State's home, and they played well at home. It's the seniors' last home game. I think Penn State's going to really try to go all out in this last game to try to bring in an upset to a school like Michigan State. And wouldn't that be fantastic for these seniors to come out with a huge upset like that against Michigan State?
No, it would be. And I tell you that one of the things that we saw, of course, with Ohio State has also crushed several opponents that were of the same caliber that Penn State was, talent-wise. And I think people thought they were coming to big college for the same. So the thing out there, I think the redeeming thing going on here is Penn State, when faced with the challenge, they have the ability to face the challenge. And I think that Michigan State, I don't think it's going to be as bad as we think, but it's going to be difficult. And the thing that's scary is when the Michigan State defense is so good and they play brutal football, let me tell you something, they're not going to win the Big Ten, it looks like. So they're going to be really upset. For the most part, they don't have as good of a shot. But for the most part, it's going to be a difficult road ahead for us in that game to begin with. If we don't pick up bitches, and if we don't help out and don't talk on the line. Great part is, again, you got Dyson and you got Donovan Smith there. Again, I really enjoyed playing. I thought they had a good game last week. So if the Michigan State defense is smothering, they get turnovers on defense. We've got to take care of the football. Hackenberg he's got to not be jumping and make the throws. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought the offensive line protected well enough where he could make some of those throws, and he just didn't do it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, everybody has to be playing on the same sheet of music, and it takes more than one person to make a play. I mean, you got to have the center snap the ball, the quarterback's got to get it, field it cleanly, the receiver's got to run the routes, the guy's got to block, he's got to place the ball in their hands. It's truly a team effort. It's a team sport, and but a lot of people don't realize what all happens within a game like that, where one element can break down, and before you know it, it collapses.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, I think for sure what needs to happen is we need to start off. I mean, we started off that football game with that first drive, textbook drive, and then didn't do anything for 10 minutes. I mean, the question is going to be, is that because people want to show themselves, or are they really just playing to stay ahead? I think the team has to learn to continue to keep its rhythm. All the different positions, like you said, being on the same sheet of music is going to be improved in all aspects of the game, whether it's that, whether our kicking games there. I noticed that we weren't able to get rid of our return game, though. I mean, we got to have a good effort. I mean, one of the things that Joe used to talk about, Joe Paterno, he used to talk about a team that, our game is made up of 4 plays, and we didn't make the 4 plays we had to. Offense, defense, in the kicking game. There were some plays and opportunities in that kicking game where we just did not come through.
Right. Well, and it's not just Penn. Penn State's not immune to this. Snap.
Somebody breaks through the line, and you only have so much time to get the kick off. And for a field goal, it's 1.2 seconds or a block, and on a punt, you got to get it off under 3, or they're going to be you're stuffed. So these things have to happen quickly and effectively and efficiently. And one little breakdown will make is a deal breaker in a game.
Well, absolutely. You know what I wanted to ask you, though, Skip? It seemed to be that we had problems. I guess here's what I want to know about. Perhaps you can share this with our listeners. And some people who don't know as much. There was a big question about facing the rim and kicking against the rim. I mean, what is the art to punting the ball into the rim? It seemed like our punter, either he didn't know that, he did the best he could, or he just didn't seem to be too confident. I mean, one time he was okay. I don't know if that means you're lucky, or how do you punt into the wind? I mean, how is it? What's the art of doing that?
Well, on a punting side of it, you're not trying to hang the ball up high. You're trying to drive it, so it's not going to probably be as high a kick because you're going to force it. Try to drive the ball further. So you're not going to try to punt the ball up for hang time. You're just going to try to drive and force it against the wind. On the field goal side of it, we are always taught never aim outside the post. We would always try to. You see guys lining up to kick a field goal and they're drawing that line. What they're doing is they're just, you kick the ball the same regardless where you're at on the field, whatever hash it is, because you're drawing that same line and you pick the middle of the goalpost. Now, if you're having a win, sometimes you got to play it, and you never aim outside it. You can maybe you divide the field goal into halves and quarters. So if it's blowing hard one way, you can still pick like that one quarter on the other side, know that the wind's going to carry it over, through the middle. But it takes time and it takes practice to do those things. And if you have rain and things like that too, it's all part of it, or snow for that matter. I remember playing a game at the Hall of Fame field out in Canton, Ohio, before they had turf out there. It used to be grass field. And this was back in the 90s, and it snowed so much you couldn't even see the side. It was snowing hard, and then you couldn't even see the lines on the field. And I kicked the field goal, and I did the Charlie Brown, but I made it. I did the Charlie Brown. I slipped and fell, but I still made it. It wasn't long; it was under 40 yards, but it's still But that's you got to play that, and it affects the way you plant your foot, to how you follow through, all of that. It's all part of the game, and those are things you just got to practice for and train for, and sometimes it's hard to do that. So
right. That's what I wonder. I mean, I didn't want to come down on him. I guess when you start talking about why somebody gets a scholarship for kicking, I mean, is that one of the things that's evaluated? That's what I wonder. I mean, if you got a strong leg, but I mean, that's one thing, but gosh, I mean, it sounds like the way you hit that ball against the wind, especially if you're saying that it's a kind of a line drive type of the whole time, that you got to be able to make the adjustments.
Right. Well, it's the same in a kickoff too. I mean, you're not going to try to kick it high because the wind's going to be forcing it, against you there. And, there's lots of aspects about ball rotation and whatnot that are going to affect the way the ball cuts through the air to kick off. All of those things. So you've seen a lot of guys when it's a real windy game and they're kicking against it. The kicks aren't going to be real high unless they're intentionally trying to get the coverage team down underneath it to surround them. Or then most of the time they're going to be driving it low, trying to force it as far as they can through against the wind. That's one of the things.
Right. Well, it just sounds like the kicking game. I think we're going to be okay with it. We really got to have it because our return game actually is coming along. I think with Haley, with a few other folks, and you got to have somebody back there that's just. And we have it. It's getting there.
Yeah, it's going to come together. It's the seniors' last game. I really hope these guys can pull off an upset. I personally don't think. I'll save our picks. How about we just go into our picks here real quick in our last couple minutes here? Modified show here tonight. We'll go through our picks for this week in the Big Ten. Last week, regular conference schedule here, and we can touch maybe for a couple of minutes here, talk on the what lies ahead for the Big Ten and what we think will play out there. But this week here we have Illinois at Northwestern.
Illinois had a good football game. God bless them. They're going to do
it. I'm with you. Yeah, I think Northwestern's good. And it's at Northwestern, so I anticipate them winning. You have
also Iowa and Nebraska.
Oh, well, you know what? Iowa just hasn't been consistent. I mean, not necessarily Nebraska. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
They haven't
Iowa,
been
though.
consistent, and I'm not real confident in them right now. I'm not going to say Iowa has been more consistent. They took a whack one particular game, but I think Iowa came out and we still have Miracle as a Heisman candidate, but I just don't see it. I mean, Nebraska's fine football team. They're going to a fine ball game, nice ball game. I just don't think they're going to.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Nebraska's going to win there. We have Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's going to be quite a football game.
It will be.
And I think it's going to come down probably to the last play. And I think as good as Minnesota is, their running back from Wisconsin is going to, I think, dictate what's going to happen, especially in the second half. And I want to take Wisconsin for maybe got a field goal.
Right, okay. Yeah, I think Wisconsin will probably may win a little bit. I think it's going to be probably one of the best games to watch this weekend in the Big Ten. I think Wisconsin's definitely going to win, but I'd say by 10 on my end.
Okay.
We have Purdue at Indiana.
Purdue at Indiana. Indiana, I think, is playing better football. I mean, Purdue is playing good football. Indiana better. Indiana had a good game last week and stayed in the game for a while against a much better opponent. I'm going to go with Indiana.
Okay. Okay, I think Purdue could maybe still do something here at the end of the season. But if they win, it's going to be by 3. That's my pick on that one. We have Rutgers at Maryland.
Well, that's going to be quite a football game.
Yeah.
And if Rutgers, if Maryland, I should say, if they had Stephon Diggs, I think it would be Maryland by some, but I think they're missing Diggs, Maryland, and they play. I think Rutgers has no people to replay makers. I think Rutgers' senior class is a little bit better than their quarterback. I'm going to give Rutgers that game.
Yeah, I think Rutgers will win that one, but I think it'd be a pretty close game. I think it'd be by 7 on that one. And then we have an interesting one here, Michigan at Ohio State.
Well, again, that game usually is close and everything they're doing. I would say Michigan will play well, but not well enough to beat Ohio State. Ohio State's on a mission.
Yes, they are.
And like I said, Indiana, I think, woke them up some. And I think Michigan will play a good first half. It just won't be enough. I think JT Barrett, their offense, and the defense Ohio State has, while they'll give them some points, I think they'll do more than enough to shut Michigan down.
Yep, I agree with you. I agree with you completely on that one. And then, of course, we have Penn State and Michigan State. The 3 o'clock kickoff.
Oh, boy. Well, I tell you what, sorry to say, I think it will be another valiant effort like against Ohio State. I'm not sure that they're going to have a chance to win. That doesn't mean they're not going to play with pride, because they are. It's just not quite enough.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you, Stefan.
Michigan State wins that football game.
Yeah, I don't think Michigan State's going to kill them. I don't think it's going to be anything like they did last week. But I think they're going to win, and I think it could be decidedly. I'd say by at least 14 points.
Right. I mean, if you think about it, to beat any good team, you have to have a running game. Things have to go well. Last week, if you think about it, Penn State had 15 first downs, so that's not bad.
Right.
One turnover, very good. That's taking care of football. Let's see, third down efficiencies, 6 for 15. I've seen worse. And in fact, that's the worst part about that loss. Illinois was 2 for 16 on third down conversions. It's just tough with 265 total yards, and the rest you can keep. I would say our defense is what makes it close.
Right. Right. They're the ones keeping them in the game all year.
Right. And in a net 93 yards passing last week, you just can't. A net 8 for 16.
Yeah.
And wow, I just don't see it. We had let's see, no interceptions, and we had a few sacks.
Right.
But that was it. Other than that, you got to make plays to stay in the game. Win, against Michigan State, you got to do that in some. And I think that you're going to see an outstanding defensive performance by Anthony Vettel and Austin Johnson. And again, I hate to keep on saying this, man. I mean, our defensive ends have really got to come to play.
Yeah, I agree.
TJ Alonso and Deion Barnes.
Yeah, it's going to have to. You know, I wish all the best for the seniors. That the following day, Sunday, there's a barbecue for the seniors where the Letterman will be up there welcoming into the brotherhood there and welcoming the family after Penn State. And you know, I hope it's a great time for celebration of a win. And if it's not, hey, you know, it's still going to be a pat in the back saying thank you, and we're all proud of you because you know you've fought the good fight. You've done the best you can. We're thankful to have you take the next step beyond, whether it be in the NFL or in your professional and personal lives. But again, it's going to be a nice family day there for the players who can come out, the former players, and the seniors there on Sunday.
No, absolutely. You know, and I want to take my hats off to the seniors. And again, I hope all our listeners understand that, you know, you're asking me direct questions and things. We're taking things at face value. And how we see it. Now, when I look at what the season could have been, many people would have thought this would be a season where it would be a losing season, and there would be a chance of a whole lot of things. And you know what? It's not like we were just so fortunate and didn't beat some good football teams. We beat some good football teams. The opening game, and maybe that was a bit of a farce, you know, that the opening game, we beat a very good Central Florida team. Did they lose again this year? I'm not so sure they did. Maybe they lost one other time.
Yeah, they played well. They played well.
A very good Central Florida team.
Yeah, they've done well, and every time we played, we've actually done. You know, we've played some outstanding football. You know, but we've had our setbacks too.
Sure, yeah. We have. But when we started taking a look at people stepping up, where I do look at statistics next week to look at some things that are going to be important. But if we can keep doing it, we look at rushing yards. I mean, Akil Lynch, for him to see Dalton Garland count and him become the bell cow and rush the ball for 28 times for 137 and 5 yards to carry and 47-yard run, he has taken on a challenge. He did have some issues, but the way he came back, and the way some of those linemen came back, and the way that they pulled it together, it just makes me feel really good about where they can go and how they get 2 more weeks of ball practice. And like you said, looking at pursuits of people who are finishing, I know that Donovan Smith is finishing, and really probably not just in recent history, but since I've been out of school, one of my favorite players, again, is Donovan Smith.
Right.
I think Donovan has done the best he can to anchor the line. He's brought people around that really didn't know how to play offensive line. And even when he was out of the game, my understanding is he's been a leader. Just looking at that loss next year will be tough, and I'm looking forward to him having a chance to play on Sunday. And at the same time, I'm looking at what opportunities some of the other young men have coming up. There's a lot of opportunities for a lot of these young men, and I believe that those 2 weeks of ball practice and going into spring practice, you'll see a facelift as to what's going on and what's the book. Coach Franklin and the staff, what a transition after all those things that have happened.
Right, absolutely.
You see nothing but, I agree with Greg on this, nothing but great character with these players, nothing but hard work. But I hope, you were mentioning Christian Hackenberg, will take this year. This is probably the biggest year of his life as a learning experience.
Yes, most definitely.
The biggest year in terms of athletics, the biggest in terms of not just where he is, but where he's going to be. If you can bring a team through all that you've gone through, and things aren't going good. I guess that's what I'm impressed with as much as I've been a little critical of Christian Hackenberg, just because I was pushing it. Because when you get yourself into a situation where all is going well, then the whole world's against you. Can you pick yourself up? And I think Joe talked about, when you're getting knocked down, he said the best football player, he said literally and otherwise, the best football player on his way down, he's already getting up. And you know what? Number 14 on his way down was already getting
Absolutely, yeah.
And I'm looking forward to
It's
a good game on Saturday. I just don't know if we have enough to win. But like you said, looking at their talent going out, looking at the talent that's there, Gino Lewis, looking at Sean Hamilton and Brad Barr, and some of these other people that are there. One rushed for 32 yards. People have been able to get some things done. So really happen, and looking at it again, just overall, our wide receivers, we got to get the football to them. I mean, only the leading receiver last Saturday was Akeem Lynch, 2 receptions for 35 yards. And every other wide receiver only had 1 reception. And Jesse James, 1 catch for 9 yards. You got to hit Jesse James, and you got to hit Carter. You got to find a way to get Carter the football.
Right. Most definitely. Yeah, well, Stephen, real quick, where do you think Penn State will wind up this year for a bowl game?
Well, I don't know much about this bowl stuff. What I'd like to, I'd like to be able to keep it close to where it is. I think there was some talk. I'm not sure if I heard this from you or from some other folks. The new era pinstripe game at Yankee Stadium.
Right.
I think that would be a good bowl for them.
It could be something like that, but I'll tell you, last year with the weather and the way things have been going with the weather, man, that could be a real interesting bowl game for them.
No, but you know what, though? It's nice to go places and experience other things.
Oh, absolutely.
What we got to take a look at it is, if we start looking at recruiting, this is my thought. If we start looking at recruiting and we start talking about going back to who we are and letting the grind it out, I think we'll be ready if you give Coach Franklin 2 weeks ready to play whatever he's going to play. And I'm looking forward to them playing in New York, playing where there's a lot of media attention, where all the criticism and all the things happen, and come to Penn State. Penn State, I think, would be a great draw. And I think recruiting-wise, especially if things go extremely well, which I think they will, this could be a good football game for us. So sometimes, unfortunately, we have to sacrifice things through tough weather and all those other things. It is really like gold to go into a situation with New York and get the recognition and be around the critical sports writers, especially if you have a good game. And then we look at the watch list again for next year, and we see what happens with our tight ends, what really happens with Hackenberg. Going to a nice bowl game, that would be nice. I think Penn State draws where they're at.
Right.
I don't know much about a lot of the other teams.
Yeah, that's the rumblings I'm hearing too.
Well, I'll take a game like that.
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to being able to see how that all plays out here. It should be a lot of fun. It's been the fastest hour of football. And of course, we've had a little modified show here tonight. Started a little late. Try to wrap it up here as fast as we can, bringing the best of Penn State football. Stephen, I hope you and your family have a great Thanksgiving. Safe travels if you're going to be on the road. Greg's out there on the road right now, actually tonight, and that's why he couldn't join us. So trust he's kept safe as well. And we'll be back here next Tuesday.
He actually just got in.
Oh, did he? Oh, fantastic. Yeah, well, we'll be back again here next Tuesday, talk about Penn State's last week and how we're looking ahead for the bowl. So on behalf of Greg Johnson, who couldn't make us tonight, and Stephen Davis, we wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. Safe travels, everybody out there. Lord bless. We'll catch you again next week on the Lions Live, the only network built by the players for the fans on the Forever Lions Network. Have a great night.